Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? So today on Defense Up, before we get started, I wanted to remind you, if you haven't already, don't collect your dailies. We have a new strike pass coming in. And also, so you want to wait for that at server reset. Also, a lot of you had issues with me bagging on the Dr. Ock Sinister 6 team. Mostly respectful comments in the comments section. If you have an adjacent viewpoint, I really like it when people put word in there. I reviewed all my stuff, and I'm sorry to say I still agree with this sentiment. Don't put Doc Ock on the Sinister 6 team. They're a liability. He's a better character on hybrid builds, and I think today we're going to see some of those hybrid builds coming up. Okay, we grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. This is Thorgrave's defense. He's got some big numbers. He's very serious about war defense. And you'll see some things. I'm not going to knock him too much on it because he spoke to me in my DMs. Again, if you want your defense featured, just come to my Discord, links in the description, and and you can message me your picks. He messaged me there and let me know he wants a seriously built up defense because he can't do a lot of war attacks. So normally we focus on offense first, and then whatever's left, that's what you use for defense. But on this one, he's going to have some what I usually would consider some big no-nos going on his defense, and it's intentional, and he knows it. So team number 1 is the Mercs. This is a great build. He's got the proper placement. He has the proper ISOs. You could put Striker on Merc Lieutenant, but Healer is a very acceptable term. He's got a great big number, so X-Force doesn't usually go into this. It's going to be Skillitary, so we run Ultimus in there to mess up that Skillitary build. This is a challenging team to come into. I really like this. I'm giving you an A for it. This ISO, I prefer Striker, but Healer is totally acceptable. Still going to give you the A for that. So good job on that one. Team number 2, Symbiotes. I like Symbiotes on offense. Of course, he's going strong on defense right now because he can't do the attacks. So we're not going to knock him for that. This is an intentional super defense build. However, I prefer Venom as a striker, not a skirmisher. You have 4 people putting vulnerables on the field and only 1 striker to soak them up. If that's the case, you might... No, that wouldn't even do any good. Remember, if you're going to go a striker level 3 blue, you need to have ISO skirmisher blue 3 first. I get so confused with the different tiers. Why couldn't they have just made them 1 through 10? Anyway... So I like this guy as a striker because he's clearing positive effects. You have him as a skirmisher to lay out more vulnerables. You've got plenty on the field. Maybe it's because you want to make sure he clears those, you know, that 50% focus boost kind of thing. It's a thing to do. I just prefer him as a striker, and you've got plenty of vulnerables on the field. Also, I think that Scream should be either a skirmisher or a striker. She does have pretty good damage, and she does clear positive effects. There's a case to be made for either of those. Raider, I mean, she bounces around a lot, so you're adding more vulnerables to the field. But like I said, you've already got plenty of vulnerables getting out there with this team. So one of these should be changed to a striker, or her to a skirmisher. Your choice. Otherwise, the placement is perfect. You got great power. This is a huge team right here. It's a scary defense. I'm going to give you a B+ for that. Team number 3. This is a Doom Brotherhood hybrid kind of thing going on. I'm not sure why you've got Invisible Woman in here other than she does have some synergy with Doom. She puts the team under stealth. It makes it that much trickier to get to Doom. Actually, now that I think about this has a lot of thought put into it. Because think about it, Magneto's gonna do his blind right off the bat, and we have some counters for that, like Dad Bros with Rhino, right? But if she puts Doom under stealth almost, quickly after that, it's going to make Doom that much harder to kill with that Dad Bros team. I don't know if their splash damage will hit people under stealth or not. I think it does, so that still might be affordable. But then you've got these 2 tanks over here, which are really beefy, tough to get tanks. I like that you've got Healer on Juggernaut. Another choice is Raider. Raider is the one I prefer, but this team is intentionally designed to keep Doom up and running until he explodes, and so you went with Healer. I get it, and I like it. Plus, he's already super tanky with 7 red stars just maxed out of his mind. Like, that's a pretty thick Juggernaut you got going on there. You got Fortifier on her. I prefer Skirmisher these days, but Fortifier is probably the other pick. She doesn't have a lot of synergy with anything, and again, you're just trying to make thick tanks that are tough to get through. And since you have her on here, she's got the synergy with Sue. I like this. This is actually a well thought out team now that I'm looking at it. This is really good. You might consider putting ISO level 5 on Mags for that extra focus boost, but of course his kit really brings up his focus anyways, so you might be okay there. You're just making him war ready. But that's a pretty good one to pop in there, is that 5th one on Mags. Could make the team that much scarier, make sure those blinds stick. I gotta tell you, this is great. It's not something I see, so it's an unusual build. It's well put together. I have nothing that you could do any better on this team, so I'm gonna give you an A+ for this. Good job. Team number 4 is the Inhumans hybrid. The only thing I see going on here that I'd like to change is probably making Yo-Yo a skirmisher. I think she's better as a level 5 skirmisher. And if you are thinking about making these big strikers, level 3 blue striker skirmishers, I'm sorry, level 3 blue strikers, God, then make Yo-Yo the level 3 blue skirmisher to get the double vulnerables on there. Making somebody a level 3 blue striker is pointless if you don't have the corresponding skirmisher out there. So this is a great team. Other than that, you've got the proper placement, proper ISOs on everybody else. You're not over investing where you don't need to. This is kind of like, we had these left over, so we're putting them on with these guys and making what we can. It's a great build. Your other choice here is a striker. He has the turn meter rewind on his basic, but I like him better as a raider on everything but his original team, which you don't want to use the original team. That thing's garbage. This hybrid is where it's at. So I'm going to give you an A- for that. Raider does work okay on her because she's bouncing around so much, but Skirmisher is going to be placing out a lot more vulnerables, and you're going to be making the defense or offense down stick with that. Team number 5. Oh, here's another fancy hybrid. Check this out. So we have Kestrel and Fury with parts of the Skillitary team. This is a good looking team here too. I kind of like what's going on. It's different. It's got a lot of thought put into it. Healer, Skirmisher, Raider, Striker. I love those ISOs. That's great. Good placement, although she's a bit squishy. And Kestrel is your biggest member and does a lot of healing. You might think to put swap places. Let's see. You might actually put Kestrel next to... No. You got Black Widow going under stealth. That's right. So we've got the pre-taunting tank, Black Widow going under stealth, keeping everything over here on this side. Then I think you should maybe go Kestrel with Fury and then Yelena Baloney, whatever her name is. Yeah, Stocky, the red stars on this are insane. Look at that, 7 red stars. She's not a great character. I don't think people should be investing in them. And remember, red stars don't make a bad character good. They make a bad character bigger. She's going to be pretty big and do a lot of damage. You got her as a raider, that's correct. I just think she should be on the outside because she is a little bit squishier than the other people. And maybe you might consider putting some gear into Fury, although he is going to be spawning his minions with defense up and death proof, so they're a little bit more resistant. Plus with this pre-taunting tank, it's going to make it a hard time for the symbiotes to come after them. It's going to be more RNG, you know, if they're next, you know, if they spawn next to Red Guardian, that could pose some problems, but I think it's a safe bet to do it this way. Yes, I read chat during a video. That's right, it happens sometimes. I love this build. I think it's great. I think there's a little few tweaks you could possibly do to improve it, but it's not something we see. It's very unusual. Please leave comments in the description. What would you use to attack into this team? I'm curious. I don't know right off the top of my head what I would do with this team. It looks pretty challenging. So if you had a little bit better placement, I would give you the A+. So I'm going to give you an A for this. It's unusual. It's a great build. Nothing's being wasted. There's only a little bit of a tweak you could do in the placement to improve it. Good job. Team number 6, Black Order. Again, I use my Black Order on offense to beat your Black Order, but this is a great build. You've got the proper ISOs. You've got good placement. It's a fantastic defense to put on there. It's a frustrating thing to build because there's not a lot of stuff that beats it, but more and more we're getting more things that can go through this. There's alternatives to these two. Like you could put Raider or even Skirmisher on him. You could put anything on Thanos. Anything on Thanos works, but I actually like Raider and Striker on these two just like that. Ebony Maw is an automatic skirmisher 100% of the time, and then these two are Striker skirmishers. Your choice which way you want to go. For offense, I prefer Proxima Midnight as the Striker. For defense, I prefer her as the skirmisher. So way to go, there's an A on that team. Team number 7. Here's where we got our Doc Ock on this hybrid build. I think it's pretty good. We're using the best parts of the Emmarauders. Unfortunately, you still have Mystique in here, and I think she's kind of weak sauce. I don't like her on this defense. I think you should put in some sort of a heavy hitter in here, or somebody like Minerva. Minerva would revive people as they die and make this team very frustrating. It'd be a timeout kind of team. What you're looking for to beat this is something like the Shadowlands would still get it done, but it's a lot tougher with him putting out deflects, him spreading those deflects, him doing a lot more healing and stuff than necessary. The other day, actually, I ran across a old school Emmarauder build with Mystique and Sabretooth, just normal. I was trying to do a 200 punch up on it with my Shadowlands, and I failed miserably because I could not get through the Strife. So more and more, I'm thinking that a bigger Strife on this team is kind of key. If you're gonna go with the 3-piece here, and even if you're gonna go with the old school, Strife has got to be one of your biggest. It's an unfortunate person to invest in because he doesn't have a lot of value other than I did like him in DD4 Global. But other than that, you don't really use them anywhere else, so that's kind of a pricey investment. Otherwise, you can break this entire team up and just use them hybrids on offense and stuff like that. But I think this is pretty good. I like what I'm seeing here. You've got the proper ISOs, you got the proper placement, everything looks good. Like I said, I kind of think Minerva is a better choice for this spot right here, but it's okay. I'm going to give you an A for that team. I think you're doing just fine. Team number 8 is WepX. Now, we don't see WepX on defense very much, but if you are going to put WepX on defense, now's the time. When it's early, when people haven't had a lot of... Oh my goodness, my nose itches so bad. Must have been a cat in my office. WepX is a team that's unfamiliar right now, and when you have unfamiliar things in your defense, it can gain you some DVs pretty quick. However, with the new playtest server and the Envoys having access to that, they're coming out with some stuff a little earlier, and we already know, Shadowlands can do some stuff to this. Like any team that does ability block and or heal block, you're gonna get some good mileage into this team. However, you've got Skirmisher, Raider, Striker on Lady Deathstrike, and Raider on Sabretooth. Now, there's alternative choices for a lot of these. You could go Striker on this guy, but I think on defense, I think Skirmisher is the way to go because like Bishop is going to do, he's going to put vulnerables out on other people. You could put Striker on this guy also. Skirmisher is a good pick because sometimes you need to ability block Misty Knight on offense, and so you got to make sure that ability block sticks, and so people are putting Skirmisher there. If, however, you have somebody else with a higher health, you don't have to worry about that, and you probably should go Striker because he has one of the best basic assist combos in the game, in my opinion. And there's new information coming out that maybe Wolverine should be a Striker because he gets speed up on his initial on his counter. I still haven't verified that. I forgot to check. So let me know in the comments if that doesn't work like that. I forgot to look at msf.gg. Otherwise, this is a perfectly acceptable build. I like the placement. I like the ISOs. I was just talking about some alternatives, especially for offense. I do think people should be running this for offense. Again, we know that this is an extensive defensive build right here. So I'm going to say... I mean, I can't really knock it. I can't knock anything you're doing here other than it should be on offense, and we know that. But I'm going to give you the A for it for this time. So good job there. When you get back to doing your offensive attacks and stuff, be sure to move this to offense because you're going to need it for Heroes for Hire. Yeah. This is a big one. This is a big one. I'm seeing all the right ISOs. I'm seeing decent placement. I prefer Iron Fist next to Luke Cage, but we're hearing a lot of people say a lot of different things, kind of like with the Black Order, how there's a variety of different placements that you're going to come across for different reasons. There's an argument to be made for all of them. I definitely think, and I am seeing Luke Cage in the center, and the argument there is that you want to get splash damage on people with counterattack. It's not worth it, because I'm telling you, your WepX team has a lot of adjacent damage going on, especially with Lady Deathstrike, and Luke Cage in the center is fantastic, because when you get stuck behind that taunt, that's totally okay. You're getting that turn meter rewind on 3 people still. You're doing a lot of damage, a lot of bleeds on 3 people instead of just 2. So for defense, always defense this team, but you definitely want him off to the side. Other than that, do what you want. I prefer Luke Cage, Iron Fist, then Wing Knight and Chi. Yeah, Wing Knight Chi after that. But who cares? As long as your ISOs are correct. Another choice for Iron Fist is Skirmisher ISO. I think that's a better choice, but not by much. So with this, I'm going to go A-. I think you could tweak it a little bit better to make it a better team. Don't overinvest, though, because you're there. You're there and then some. Team number 10 is the Infinity Watch on defense. Again, if anybody in my alliance was putting Infinity Watch on defense, I would be very frustrated with it. I'd be very frustrated. Our alliance is short a few Warlocks, and it's short a few Omega Reds, and so it's all hands on deck with Infinity Watch and the people who do have Omega Red unlocked to try and get through those hero for hire teams, because otherwise we cannot full clear. So I definitely 100% like this team on offense. If you're going to be AFK, put them in defense, and you are going to frustrate the hell out of your opponent, because they're going to be seeing 1, 2, 3 big war defense teams that they're going to have to struggle with. And as for on defense, I think that maybe Moon Knight should be a healer on defense. I like her as a striker on offense. You know, we're all battling this team in the arena, so we see the different ISO combos that you could do with Moon Knight and stuff, and what works and what doesn't. You pick it, your choice. Personally, I think it's all strikers, and Nebula as a skirmisher is probably your best build. Placement, not such a big deal. I prefer Gamora in the middle. I prefer Nebula and Phyla-Vell to the outside. I think those are kind of the priority targets. It doesn't really matter because there's no tank on this team. There's no stealth on this team. A person gets to pick who their target is until maybe Gamora spits out that taunt once in a while. So it's a great build. I think you're doing everything fine. Remember, if you're going to take one of these guys to a level 3 striker, you need to do a level 3 skirmisher. It's an A for that team. This, I think, in retrospect, is probably the most high-scoring defense we've had. You kind of get a little bit of a cheat factor because I know that you're all about defense and not getting all your attacks in, which is an unusual thing to do. So for other people, this wouldn't get such a high score. I would actually get them a pretty bad score for putting this on defense when it should definitely be used on offense. Okay, this has been Defense Up for Thorgrave. You like what you saw? Hit like. Hit like, please hit like, help out that algorithm. I mean it. You can also subscribe. I'm putting out about 4 videos a day. Actually, with Stream Recycle, it's coming up to like 6 or 7 videos a day. You can always catch me on Twitch 9 to noon on Thursdays and Tuesdays. We do this stuff live, have pretty good fun. So don't just have a good game. Be good to yourself and others too. Thanks. Bye.